Hey, I see a lot of you guys are on Zoom. We hope you're enjoying it. We're gonna have fresh fruit and apples and have really good interaction. So we miss you, but we're glad we're able to bring this to you. And we are very fortunate to have Tracy, the top salesperson in the country for her mortgage company. So you're getting to learn everything from the best. Send your questions on via text or the chat, and Joanna will ask them. We'll try to fit so you can get your answers for there. So hopefully you'll get a tremendous amount of information and good knowledge, and that's why we're bringing all these great educational stuff. So without further ado,
Okay. All right. So I'm giving this class today because as of 3 weeks ago, Fannie Mae's updated their guidelines again. So they are having us have an addendum filled out with all of our condo questionnaires. I'm going to go to the addendum first. It's the last one in here in our packet, this condo project addendum. So here's what happened. Surfside in Miami, and after that happened, they came out with this addendum. Now we were getting around it by doing Freddie Mac, but now Freddie Mac is implementing the same thing that Fannie Mae. So this addendum is a big item. And the reason it is because Fannie Mae went through the list of all their approved condominiums, had this addendum filled out, and guess what? They were immediately taken off. So a lot of condominiums that were on the approved list because of this form are now not. So if you had a condo and you knew it was approved before, you might want to double check because this has excluded a lot of them. Mainly it pertains to, of course, a lot of older condominiums because of the questions they ask about the maintenance and, you know, stuff like that.
Can I ask you a question from a seller's standpoint?
Absolutely.
If we're getting ready to list a condo, is it a good idea to touch base with our lender and get that started
So
with the association first?
So yeah, we're going to talk about that as well. In the very beginning, we're starting at the beginning now. I just wanted to go over that addendum and what the changes are. So a couple things that you're going to want to do. So with Fannie Mae's guidelines, we have, which I've gone over with you guys before, a limited review, depending on the down payment, and we have a full review. Okay, for condominium. So, you know, if they're putting less money down, they're going to have a full review condominium question, which would, you know, have to include the budget. The budget's the big thing. We always ask for the budget first because you want to make sure there's 10% reserves. Now, with the limited review, with more of a down payment, with that, we used to be able to do a short form and no budget. Okay. Well, we can still do a limited review, which excludes the budget. We won't need it. However, there's a long form in here you're going to see. It's condominium project questionnaire full form. These are required on all condominiums now. Full forms are all condominiums. So if you have the seller and the lender is requesting a condo questionnaire, you're going to want to make sure they get the full form and the addendum filled out because both are required.
Can I ask you a dumb question?
Absolutely.
I've sold a lot of condos, but it's all been cash. So for me, where do I go to find out if I'm doing a loan on a condo if it's Fannie Mae approved?
Right. So there's a checklist.
Is there a site I go to?
Yeah, there's a site for Fannie Mae approved condominiums. It says, look right here. So if it's this is on a condo. Number one, you're going to look it up to see if the condo is on the Fannie Mae approved list.
Okay.
So here's where it's at. We can send you the link too if you need it. Okay. Now there's another step that I again got a call from an agent. Deal's falling apart. You know, 35 days into a Wells Fargo. So I pulled up to make sure that the list is not on the ineligible list, and it was on the ineligible list. So they applied for the mortgage, ordered the condo questionnaire, ordered the appraisal, processed the whole entire file. It went to the underwriter, and then the underwriter caught the list. Okay, that's why When we do a condominium loan, we get all of the stuff done on the front end. Because we don't want to work on a loan we can't close.
Right.
And you guys, they normally, they don't do that.
Had that happen here.
Yeah.
So do I go to fanniemae.com or something?
It's right here, just project eligibility services / Fannie Mae. Yeah,
Okay,
so,
okay, that's what I,
Or you can search by Fannie Mae eligible condos.
yeah, so or email me and I'll send you the link, same thing. All right, so then the first thing that we're gonna wanna do again is request and review the 2022. We are in 2022 now. So they should have a 2022 approved budget. And if they don't, then we have to have a reasonable reason that they don't. Either because a board member was sick with COVID, they didn't have enough to have a quorum, stuff like that happens. But we've got to have a reasonable explanation as to why they don't have it to not use it. We can, with a reasonable explanation. So, so on a primary home, if the loan to value is 75.1 or greater, then, we have to have the long form. So the 75% is where we get around the budget for the limited review. The second home, if the loan to value is above 70%, then we need the budget. This is all situations where we would need that budget. So we can still get around the budget, but now we have to have the long form and addendum filled out. So if you're taking a property and you're listing it as a condo, you're going to want to ask for the budget. And then you're going to get a condo questionnaire filled out so that you can review it as well. I mean, if somebody makes a cash offer, it's not going to matter because this is a lender part. Okay. Not a lender, Fannie Mae, whatever. Every lender requires it because it's a Fannie Mae. All right. So you're going to get the budget, request a long form condominium questionnaire with the new addendum. Even if your loan will fall into a limited review, you still would get that. Now you want to order the master insurance policy. Recently we had someone, condominium is an old condominium. It was an 8 unit and they did not have law and ordinance coverage. Okay. So if that burnt down, they could not rebuild it the way it is. Now we can get around the law and ordinance coverage if we go to the city and get them saying everything is up to code. As far as, the accessibility, handicap, stuff like that. And we did go to the city and they said, no, it's not. It's not. So if those 8 units burn down, they can build 7 and one has to be like a 6. So it's all a matter. So, we talk to the client and the client's basically, he wants it anyway, wasn't a huge price. So we got him private money. He was putting 20% down. It wasn't a problem, but you need to realize that the law and ordinance coverage isn't in there. If you have the seller, you got to tell that seller that, if the hurricane blew this away, someone's in trouble, that you can't build this the way it is. So it's a problem unless they have that. So I told him to join the board and get the coverage. Hopefully he does that. All right. So, and there's scenarios below that are eligible for limited review, which means we don't need the budget. But the findings when it's run through desktop underwriting, DU, Fannie Mae, is the established attached condo unit primary less than 90% or second home less than 75. So this is just kind of goes through some different scenarios. Now there are some scenarios, these are exempt from project review. There are some scenarios where we can request a Freddie Mac waiver. Okay. So if we have a condo and everything else is okay, but the operating income budget is not 10%. Well, if we look at their reserves and assets that they have holding in a bank, sometimes they're not collecting that 10% because they don't need to, right? So you have to take a look at the whole picture. So we can go to Freddie Mac for the waiver for that. We just did one on Gulf Harbor.
That's me. Or they recently spent it, like they recently put a new roof on.
Yeah. Every scenario is different, but we can go to Freddie Mac and get a waiver for different things. I had one investor that owned 4 units.
Does that take a long time?
So it's right now they're running at 24 to 48 hours, but a lot of times they'll come back and ask for one thing or other.
Plan for next
knock on wood, we've been pretty successful for glass. That we've been pretty successful with the Freddie Mac waivers so far. So there are situations where we would request a waiver. And we can request a waiver without the appraisal. So it's just that sometimes when they come back, they might ask for the appraisal, but they don't always. So now exempt from the project review, of course, are detached condos. If it's in the property appraiser's website classified as a single family and there's no condo language in the title of the property, then we would classify it as a single family and not. And that is on some townhouses, like Porta Vista, or there's some townhouses over there that qualify for that. Okay, now I also put in here, this is really cool. I wanted you guys to see this. This is our checklist. This is our internal checklist for condominiums. So if you have a condominium and you're going through it and you're answering these questions, it's going to tell you whether or not it's eligible right off the get-go. See? So this is basically our in-house checklist for condominiums that I put in there. It's really, really cool because it kind of explains everything to you. Yeah, you have this too. This is a good guide. So right here.
Oh, okay.
So condo requirements with 4. Okay, so here's the first eligibility. Any yes equals ineligible. So here you go, right there.
1 euro.
Does it have a hotel, timeshare segment? I mean, these are all, this will tell you whether or not it qualifies. Appraisal, any no must be addressed / corrected. I mean, it's just a checklist that you guys can go through.
Something up here about manufactured housing. But knock it out.
It could, sure. No, it's the HOA. So yeah, this is our checklist. Pretty cool. That's just, Jamie's like, you're gonna put that in there for them?
Oh, that's helpful.
And I said, yeah, absolutely. I want them to see what it is, the questions that are asking and what we have to answer to show if it's eligible or not. So there it is. And that's pretty much it. I just wanted to go over those major updates with the addendum in the long form.
In a complex, how many units can be rented?
So basically we're back to investor concentration. So how many people are in there? If it's a primary or second home, we don't care about investor concentration. Okay. If it's an investment property, I think it's 50%. I'll have to double check. So, but it's only if our buyer is purchasing the property as an investment. That's only when the investor concentration matters.
So I had a condo, most of the owners were snowbirds. We had 23 units and I think 3 were rented full time. So something like that would qualify for the problem.
For an investor, yes.
It's less than 50%.
Yeah. But if they're buying as a primary or second home, we don't care how many rentals are anymore. We don't, Freddie Mac doesn't care anymore. Does anyone else have any questions?
They were asked.
Okay. That was all I had.
Well, let's talk about Fannie Mae. So talk about FHA condos and stuff for those.
So
FHA, VA, so that they get the hang of that.
So if the condo is approved FHA and the condo is approved VA, we can finance it. No, FHA rolled out it was a single family approval that they would do, or I'm sorry, a single unit approval. So they would do it. Remember when we used to do spot approvals for the condos for FHA? So they were rolling it out like that. The problem is when we attempted to do it, it was like dragging through the mud by the feet. Just nothing qualifies. It's a little teeny box that's like this big. So, and it doesn't seem like anyone else is having good luck with it. Put the buyers through unnecessary.
It's not on the list online. discourage.
Yeah, if you've got a buyer that wants a townhouse and you're searching the MLS for townhouses, the one thing you're gonna wanna make sure is that, you know, if they can't, if they're FHA and they want a townhouse, that property's gotta be classified as a single family residence.
Like an attached building, like in Sandoval, single family.
Yes, yes, they do. They do when you go straight in on the right. Yes, yes. So those are, yes, single family. And you know, the legal description pretty much tells you all, because if it says anything to do with condo in the legal description, that's where it kicks out. So it might be classified in the MLS as townhouse, but in the actual property appraiser's office, it's condominium. It's not going to qualify as a or VA unless it's on the list. Yeah. I think on the newer ones that it's an easier process, but on VA, if you have a veteran, let's talk about that real quick. Since you brought it up, if you have a veteran that wants a condominium, we just closed one that was not on the approved list because within the past 2 years it was rejected. So they had all the paperwork. So we submit a waiver to VA and they'll give it to us. So if you have a veteran and they want to buy a condo, VA, they're not excluded. We could probably get a waiver and we don't need an appraisal. So, you know, it's just going to depend on the condo. So, you know, if they find a condo and it was, you know, rejected, whatever, withdrawn within 2 years, we take a look at it and see if VA will do it. We have a direct link. VA is like our wheelhouse. So direct link. That anything we ask, we do. We got Coast and Homes builder. We had them VA approved as a builder in a week. So we got the girls are just.
Are you seeing a lot of FHA condo loans right now?
Nope. No.
They're,
A lot of them are paying cash and then doing delayed financing. Right, because a lot of lenders are like, oh, you can't do a cash out refinance for 6 months. We can, anyway. You know, pricing's a little bit. I had a guy yesterday. I talked to. I'll send you my information about the interest rates. I was talking to this guy yesterday. He's buying a condo. You know, 50,000 down, 220,000, and interest rates 4.125. He's a little older than me, so he's a little older. He bought his. So anyway, I was talking to him. I said, listen, when I got in the business in 1989, rates were 12 and 13%. We are still in a historically low rate market. It's just not as low as it was. And we've been spoiled for so long that people really need to come back to reality. And they also need to realize that they are going to continue to go up. And then I'm going to hear the whispers again. I wish I would have done it. I wish I would have done it then. Wish I would have done it then. I'm like, if I had $1 for everyone that said that. So, you know, for those, especially the younger generation that got into the business with these rates the way they are, they haven't seen. And I have a chart that will tell you what the rates have been since 1970s till 2008. Whatever my rates was. I have historic.
Even with the rates going up.
Yeah. It's still, I mean, rates are still really good. We have to change people's mindsets instead of, you know, what they're used to into what reality is. That's what we need to do. And so those of us who've been in the business a long time, it's our job to educate people. Like, here's where after my conversation with him, he was like, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Take the extra 5 minutes and have that conversation. Makes you the expert. Okay.
So what can?
Lot loans, construction loans. We don't do lot loans or construction loans.
But if somebody finds a house in construction.
Yeah.
Well, it's
If I wanted to build a house, what percentage rate would it be if I own the land?
I don't do those things.
Oh, you don't?
he has new construction.
You build it, you come back to me and I'll find it.
Okay. Okay.
So if they find a spec, that is a really good question. They find a house, for God forbid, it's actually a spec house that hasn't been sold. And they wanted to do an FHA and the builder isn't an FHA builder. What did they do?
That's okay. We just have to make sure that all the requirements are met for that builder and that we got all the documentations, addendums, and the 210 inspections. So it's
Do
not a
they
big
have
deal.
a period and warranty?
Mhm.
We're back in the day.
Yep. And so we have no problems with those. But we do have a builder that we work with. We're their preferred lender, and he does give us lists of homes, and he has lists of homes before they hit the MLS. So if you have buyers that are looking for newer homes in the Northwest, they're going to put, this guy used to be like the exec for Taylor Morrison and then the exec for both. They're no joke. They're great people. But if you're looking for homes in the Northwest that are new construction, they're going to put 150 pounds. They're going to build 150 this year. So we probably close in, we just have the buy side. I have one guy. I don't know, something or something. He called me up. He's like, I want to buy 5 of these houses. Well,
They're from 3 to 500.
they're right around the 315.
That's a, do you know what building?
It's Coaston, Coaston.
Done a couple of
Yeah, there was, I saw one yesterday on the MLS. It's gonna be done in 2022.
That's another one.
Yeah, March. I
So
believe.
we have some that he'll give us before they actually hit so that we can,
You said in Northwest.
So if you're,
Mhm.
if you're one of
But
her,
it wasn't
if you're one of her
Yeah,
preferred
it's-
realtors, you'll hear about it sooner. than
yeah,
you think.
they're great. This guy, Tia, my processor, is like, I'll take every single one of their files. They're quality homes. They're like, well, they're Taylor Morrison homes, pretty much. I guess he was the CEO. So he lives in Sarasota, but he's doing everything pretty much here. Of course, they're great people, great builders, no nonsense, no lust, no fuss. They're great. Great.
No, I wish I would have known. Well, it turned out better that fall. We had the day already set up. If I would have known that Tracy made it better, because he wanted a condo initially. I mean, it turned out better for me. I ended up selling a $369,000 house instead of a $250 condo. But,
So who did his mortgage and why wasn't?
well, he already had it lined up. He was
Oh.
from.
Don't you hate it when they do that?
I'm like you and we go way back. I don't know.
No, I would have, but he already had it all lined up. I mean, the guy was from out of state, the lender was out of state.
So there, you got to be careful with a lender from out of state because in Florida, so Florida is a deviated state for VA, where the veterans allowed to pay for an inspection in Florida. There's 6 states that are deviated, and Florida's one.
Yeah, so first, I've got several people that are interested in the new construction stuff for the MLS that you were talking about.
Okay.
And then Michael Feely says he's got, we're all experiencing a shortage of inventory that with homes that have a pool. He has a buyer that is having a shift. He's seeking a home, wants to work loan into building a and wrapping it with your finished construction work. Do you have a financial product for that?
No, you're talking because when you're talking about adding a pool, you're talking about draws to a pool company.
Oh, yeah.
So you're talking more that they have to set it up, even though there's an existing home. I used to do them in the past, even though there's an existing home, when you're adding a pool, you're still talking about doing a construction perm loan. That, or depending on their down payment, have them put less money down, pay cash for the pool. Or another thing is to get a pool loan afterwards. There's companies out there for pool loans too. So.
And then I have, Betsy was saying, repeat the issue with out-of-state lenders. I know she personally has a customer right now that won't listen to her about out-of-state lenders, but she was wondering if you could just that
Yeah,
first, so that
no.
she gave,
Right.
she gave the customer your information. I know that I'm talking to her. There's the guy in Colorado and she's pulling our hair out.
Right. So
Since we speak to that.
So several things. First of all, when we work with our third-party affiliates, title companies, appraisers, our own appraisers, insurance companies, we guide them through, how to get insurance in Florida. We talk to our surveyors. Everybody that we know and work here, we have relationships with. And so we have the avenues to put them exactly where they need to be. And there's differences in Florida. So for VA,
Yeah,
what I had
she
said
just asked
before,
VA specifically.
with VA specifically, Florida, VA requires, it's a VA requirement in their handbook that the seller is required to pay for the termite inspection. However, there's states that are deviated out of that, and Florida is one of them. So when you have a buyer and they're in Florida, they are allowed to pay for the termite inspection. The seller is not required to pay for it. Now, I had an agent call me up telling me that the bank was arguing with him about this exact thing. And the bank was saying, well, we're doing this mortgage in New Jersey. And the agent's like, the property's in Florida. Okay, so theirs right there is the same thing. It's like, we know that there's deviated guidelines in the ins and outs of our assessments. You get somebody with assessments and they go to a company in Colorado, they're like, wait a second, how's this lien taking place over us? They don't know how it's just, if they trust you as the professional, then they trust that you'll, tell them that you're giving them the right advice to help them close a loan. Everybody wants to make money and everybody wants to make everybody happy at the same time.
And talk about appraisals and.
Especially
appraisals.
Appraisers.
Truly Nolan did our insect inspection, termite inspection, it's only $25.
Sometimes they have them for free. Yeah, we have some people do free.
Yeah, but the thing with the appraisal, out of state lender, they normally don't have a connection with appraisal.
Right.
Gotcha.
And the one thing that you can do if you're forced to use with that, like Betsy, would be when the appraiser calls you, ask them very specifically, are you an expert in this area? If you know, we count you.
Right.
If they say no, you can refuse that lender and they have to send somebody else. But if you can switch them over to Tracy, Tracy's got to talk about it.
Refuse the lender?
We've
or
got
the
a-
appraiser?
We've got a better one. We had one just recently.
I know, I get like that too, I'm dyslexic.
We got the appraisal in, it was a jerk VA appraiser, and because we don't pick our appraisers on VA, that's the only ones we can't. The VA, well, we don't pick them anyway, but at least the ones we use are our own on a rotation, I should say. So we set it up for an ROV, and we, sure enough, a reconsideration of value, I should say, RCV. We got it. So the, agents do their due diligence. They're with a lender here that has an appraiser. They know the value's there. We will all work together to help get this reconsideration of value done, because when JJ says to me, I am telling you, I know that that property is worth that, then we go to bat and we say, okay, there's agents that do know, agents don't, but there's, when we know that the appraiser did not do their job, we can go to VA and they usually give it.
The trick is to contact the lender as soon as possible. Make sure you use all the right information from the condos to make sure that you have a listing that it can get done, or the minute you get a condo under contract, start pushing really hard. And it's your job as a realtor to help the lender, to help the buyer do that. Don't depend on the lender, because they're trying to do as much as they can, but the more help you can do together and work as a team, it makes sense. And that's why we always have to come in.
If you have a
Yeah.
listing, you would, it'd be good for you to know exactly what type of financing that condo qualifies for, because if you know that you're not going to be able to use that budget, unless we're applying for a Freddie Mac waiver, then it's good that you at least know that. So when somebody puts an offer in,
Right.
And their lender's Wells Fargo, and then 35, 40 days go later and your seller's pissed off at you because the condo is not qualifying.
Yeah.
It just puts you as the
And
answer.
you gotta tell the agents that they can get a lot of the information from the management company, they know the numbers, they know how many rentals, how many owners.
Yeah, and the more you can get when you list it, put all those attachments there, because then it also helps the selling agent, because they get paid when you get paid. So if you can put in the budget and the finances and all of that, then even if they don't use Tracy, they can take all that information to the buyer's lender, and they'll know real quick if they have a deal or if they don't have a deal. And that time is of the essence. That's basically it. You want to know in 5 days, if it's going to happen or not.
Okay.
So have a fantastic Wednesday, and
watch your calendar for the other exciting classes we have coming up tomorrow and then the rest of the month. Peace out.
Bye.